Welcome to episode 7 of Millennial Real Life Budget Review. Today we are going to be taking a look at a healthcare worker who lives in Coral Springs, Florida, and is currently struggling with a lot of debt. Let's take a look at her budget and see how I would work things around to help her hit her financial goals. Hey, what's up guys? This is Justine with Debt Free Millennials, the channel to help you crush your debt and live payment free. And in this series, we take a look at a real millennials budget. We take a look at their financial goals, their debt, what they're struggling with, and then how I would rework that budget to help them hit their financial goals. So let's take a look at this person's situation. First, they are a patient assessment standards coordinator, basically a healthcare worker who lives in Coral Springs, Florida. The biggest thing that they are struggling with financially is debt and saving for their future. For their biggest financial goals, they want to pay off debt, build an emergency fund, and then save for future goals such as a wedding and a house, such as like a condo, apartment, or a house. They said, kind of gave me a range there. They said they also have $1,300 saved for an emergency fund. And a couple other notes that they told me about their financial situation is that they are in their 30s and living with their family. We are a family of 5 and I contribute a lot to the finances as well as my dad. I am in most of my debt due to helping cover financial needs when money runs out for my dad. In addition to using my highest balance card as my supplemental income when my dad was out of work due to COVID, and when I was out of work due to COVID in 2020, only a few months apart. I want to be financially stable and to be able to save for a future that includes marriage, home, children. But I struggle because I'm dependent on a lot and there's no full understanding from my parents of what I want in life. Oh my gosh, I feel this frustration and the doubt and like a little bit of sadness in this, because it sounds like you really, really love your family and you care about them deeply. And also when you care about them so much, you oftentimes want to support them financially, and in turn you end up hurting yourself financially because you weren't able to take care of those immediate needs. I see this from time to time with some of my budget bootcamp students where adult children and their adult parents still have some sort of financial overlap, and there's either some responsibility either on the child's part or on the parent's part, and there's really no clear boundaries when it comes to their finances. And so this is where I think we can start talking about some healthy boundaries that you can set for yourself with your family. First, let's go ahead and hop into your budget and see what that looks like. Okay, so here's what we have going on for this person. Currently, they are bringing in $4,000 a month, and they have a little bit of money left over after they've factored in all of their budgeted items. Let's take a look at their debt table, because this is definitely popping out to me. So it looks like we have a lot of different credit card debts, some personal loans. We have 3 personal loans, a car loan, and a Citizen iPhone loan. So a loan to get your phone, I think. All of this adds up to just under $34,000 in debt. The good news is your take home is actually really good. This is really high. So I have no doubts that you can pay this off once we get a debt payoff plan in place for you. Let's take a look at your budgeted items here. So under the fixed category, which is all of your basic monthly living expenses, we have rent of $800, cell phone of $197. This seems really, really high considering you have an iPhone loan. So I'm sure either there is something more to the story here why this is $200, because that is ridiculously high for a data plan. I'm assuming you have maybe mobile protection, maybe there's another device like a tablet, maybe a watch. If you have any of that stuff on there, let's take a look at that. Also, household items, $100, groceries, $480. This again seems seems high for a single person, but you did mention you live with your family and you're supporting them, so I'm assuming this is also part of that. And then gas, tithe, car insurance, renter's insurance. Okay. Then the fun, we have wax passes of $326. That seems really high. Guilt-free spending. I love that it's guilt-free spending. Love that. Netflix, Spotify, Massage Envy, okay, iCloud storage. I don't see anything for like clothing, shopping, restaurants, but perhaps that's all baked into the guilt-free spending. $100 for miscellaneous, and then some money set aside for the emergency fund, and then looks like maybe you were factoring in an extra $125 towards the debt payments, which really is just not doing much for you right now. So the way that I see it, you mentioned that you wanted to pay off your debt and build the emergency fund and then savings. Always, always, always start with the emergency fund. The emergency fund is going to prevent you from going into debt and prevent you from adding to existing debt. I did a whole video on this that you should definitely check out, but I'm talking to you specifically right now who submitted me this budget. We need to start with your emergency fund, because I don't want what happened to you and your father in 2020 to happen to you guys again. I don't want you to feel like you need to use your credit card as supplement to your income in order to cover your bills, in order to cover your payments. That is not what we want to do. The emergency fund is set aside in a separate savings account, and please put this in a high yield savings account. Banks like Ally, Capital One, Discover even has a really good interest, Synchrony, Aspiration, Wealth Fund, Betterment. They all have cash, high yield cash accounts that you can earn interest in, and they're easily accessible and liquid for you to pull out of in case of an emergency. So let's talk about your emergency fund. Right now, I factored in your basic living expenses, which is basically all of your fixed stuff right up here. I also subtracted $40 out from the tithe, because we can't possibly help anybody else until we can help ourselves in a true emergency. So 1 month of living expenses for you is equal to $1,807. Now, your starter emergency fund while you're paying off debt should be 2 to 3 months of living expenses. 2 to 3 months of living expenses should give you enough runway in case you were to lose your job, that you could go ahead and live off of that savings while you work on getting a replacement job. So 2 months of living expenses is equal to $3,614. 3 months of living expenses is equal to $5,421. I want your emergency fund to be equal to $5,400. $5,400 is what you want to aim for, and then once we get your emergency fund built up to that amount, stop contributing to it, and then we're going to work on your debt payoff plan. So the great news here already, I'm telling you some good news, is you already have $1,300 set aside in your emergency fund. So if we're building up to $5,400, then we need $4,100 fast. I want you to be focused, laser focused on $4,100 and getting that money set aside into that separate high yield savings account. So I'm really hoping that's where this $1,300 is currently in. If you are earning, check your savings account. If you are earning anything less than 3% right now, you need to move that money over to a high yield savings account ASAP, because that money is just sitting there and is not doing anything for you. Rather, if you moved it over to a high yield savings account with Ally that's earning 3.4% interest, you'd be getting a little check every single month in the form of dividends paid into your account, which is amazing. You don't have to work any harder or any extra for that money. All right, so if we need $4,100 fast, that means we have to start shaving some areas of your budget to hit that $41. Now already I see that you had a net of $267, which we can easily add to the emergency fund right here. So let's do that. So we can do $367 And while we're working on the emergency fund, we are making minimum payment towards the debt until we have that emergency fund built to $5,400. That means I'm going to zero out your debt payments, extra $125, and put that towards the emergency fund. So now we've got close to $500 going towards the emergency fund. The next place that I'm going to cut, you knew I was going to go after this wax passes. $326 spent on something like this while you have $34,000 in debt and very little savings makes me really nervous. This is something that I would be okay with temporarily pausing because this is your biggest fund in fact, I'm okay with you taking the $300 to do the guilt-free spending. Totally fine. This though, I think this needs to go. This needs to go. So this is where I would zero that out, and I would add, and again, this is only temporarily. I want you to have the wax pass, but we can't have it just yet. We need to delay that for another time. So $326. Now I can put $800 towards the emergency fund. So let's see how that all factors out. If we need $4,100 fast, divided by, if we could do this every month, we're talking about 5 months. 5 months of just setting aside $818 into that emergency fund, and then you're done in 5 months. And I bet we could even make this faster than that if we can shave off other areas of our budget. So I would even take a look at groceries and household items. This is something maybe we could get this down to $400, maybe we could add another $80 here to the emergency fund. And I really want to help you figure out this cell phone thing, because that is just ridiculous. If your data plan, if you're paying any more than $30 for an unlimited data plan, you're doing it wrong. Let me tell you, okay? Mint Mobile has unlimited data plans for $30 per month, unlimited. And they're part of the T-Mobile network, which means you're getting access to the largest 5G network in the country. And nothing changes with your data. You can stream as much as you want. You can, get onto Wi-Fi as much as you want. You can access all of your apps, and you're only paying $30 a month. I will leave my affiliate link for Mint Mobile for you to check out below. It's been fantastic for me. I've been using it for close to a year now, and I've had no issues with my service. So this is something that we could definitely address, but we'd have to talk more specifics because I have a hunch that you have some device payments on here. And if you have any mobile protection plan or device protection plans on here, this is where we can start dropping that because the emergency fund is going to take care of that. So if we have $900, let's say you have $900 per month going towards the emergency fund, 4.5 months, less than 5 months to get that all stocked, fully stocked for a 3-month emergency fund. A fully funded emergency fund you can work on after you pay off your debt, and that would be equal to 6 months of living expenses or more. So after the next 5 months, we're just talking 5 months of grinding it out with the emergency fund, putting as much money towards it as possible, then we stop. Then we can zero this out. And now we have a whole bunch of money to work with at the end of this. So I would love to take this extra $774 and start putting it towards a debt payoff plan. I went ahead and put your debts into the debt reduction calculator with vertex42.com. So this is the table that you see here. I added all of your balances, your car loan, the interest rate, and those payments. And right now that's all equal to $985 per month on minimums. But if we could just add an extra $774 to that, let's take a look. So we would be putting $1,759 towards those debts. That's insane. But check this out. Okay, if you were to do the debt snowball method and you started with just the smallest outstanding balance, you would have your iPhone loan paid off in 1 month. 1 month done. So that means 6 months from now, you'd have that completely paid off, probably less than because you're making minimum payments on the iPhone loan while you're building up that emergency fund. Then after that, you get personal loan 1 and 2 knocked out in 2 months and in 4 months. So literally the next like 6 months after this are gonna be stellar for you, because not only do you pay off your iPhone loan, 2 personal loans, you pay off Sephora, and then after that is Amex. In fact, in 1 year, you basically shave off, how many debts is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 debts in 12 months. And you had a 3-month emergency fund to fall back on during that time. That is an incredible year. And keep in mind, the only thing I changed here was that Wax Pass, and everything else stayed the same. I didn't even touch Massage Envy. I didn't even touch guilt-free spending or any of your subscriptions. And we kind of changed the groceries, $80. I think that's totally doable. That's insane. See, I see this is super doable for you. And guess what? If you continue on this path and you just keep grinding it out, head down, you can be debt-free in less than 2 years. Less than 2 years, so long as you commit to $774 extra towards that debt payment every single month. And let's take a look back at your budget. If you're like an extra $774, that's a lot. We're still spending money on the fun stuff. We still have miscellaneous $100 to fall back on. We've completely funded your emergency fund to that 3-month amount. You still have room in your budget to kind of move things around as needed. So I think this is totally doable. And I see that you added the pre-tax paycheck contributions. This looks great. Like, even though you're only putting 2% per paycheck towards the retirement right now, that's exactly what I did while I was paying off my debt. And the fact that you can knock out $34K in less than 2 years is pretty freaking amazing. So if you can commit to this plan for the next 2 years, and let's break it down, right? We're breaking it down by starting with that emergency fund. We're talking about the next 5 months. And then after that, the next 6 months are gonna feel really incredible, because you'll be knocking off so much of your debt, especially using that debt snowball method. Once you become debt free, that's when we can really start planning and saving for that future. We can talk about, building up maybe not 2%, but maybe 5% per paycheck towards the retirement. We can talk about fully funding that emergency fund, and you don't have to be as like sprint-like with that goal. You can take your time building up that emergency fund to 6 months. And then we can also talk saving for a wedding or a house, or talking about having a family. All those things we can start building as soon as you become debt-free. Another way that we can think about that, if you're like, I just want to make progress right now, any kind of extra income that you might get outside of this plan for your debt payoff during this time, you can actually set aside by opening up either a high yield savings account or maybe even a brokerage account if you want to save for a down payment. I have a whole house buying series on my channel that you should definitely look into if you're interested in using other tools to build the down payment. And just open the account. Maybe just set an extra $50 in there, or $100. Again, if you have extra income opportunities that happen throughout the year, this is a great opportunity to put that money towards some of those future savings goals so that you feel like you're making headway during that time. This is exactly how I would work your financial goals, starting with the emergency fund, then going to the debt payoff plan, then going back and building up that emergency fund up to 6 months, and then also sprinkling in some of those future savings goals, such as the home, a wedding, by utilizing tools like a high yield savings account or even an outside brokerage account to help you fund those goals. And even just starting small, just like, okay, $100 now, I'm not going to contribute to it monthly, but at least I have something going. That's going to help you feel like you have the assurance, like, yes, I actually started that. And that's where we can start making progress. Okay, I hope that was helpful for you in figuring out your budget and your financial goals. Don't forget, if you want to have your budget anonymously reviewed on the channel, I will leave a link to the Google form below for you to fill out. The more details that you can give me, the more specifics, the better advice that I can give you inside of these videos. If you want to take this deeper and you want to go one-on-one through a budget coaching program with me, you can check out Budget Bootcamp, which is linked below. Give this video a big thumbs up, and I'll catch you in the next one.